first, you make a roux. Alright, so we're going to start by making a roux. Equal parts oil and flour or butter. Butter usually burns quicker. A gumbo roux you need to cook a lot longer than some of your other roux. So you don't want to use butter for this one because it burns quicker than oil. So what I am doing is heating up some oil and then adding my flour. I'm going to stir it all together and let it cook until it is a dark enough gumbo roux. A roux sometimes seems very tricky, but it's really not. You are just cooking down flour and oil, and you just have to constantly stir it. If you have the heat up high, you've got to make sure you are constantly stirring it. I tend to cook it a little bit lower and longer because I am oftentimes needed to be pulled away from the roux, and if I were to have it at a high temperature, I would burn it. So a lot of times I'll just turn it down, make sure that it's not going to burn while I go do what I need to do real quick, and then I'll come back to it and I will turn the heat back up. So my roux is just about as dark as I want it. It is going to get a little bit darker because I'm going to cook it a little bit longer. But now is the time that I'm going to add my onions, let the onions cook down. Then I'm going to add my sausage, and then I'm going to add my peppers, which today I have bell peppers, jalapeno peppers, and something I think is an overgrown banana pepper. I'm not 100% sure. It came out of a garden at my father-in-law's house. So I am adding the onions. I'm going to add the peppers after the sausage has cooked down, but I don't have my full trinity. I do not have celery this time, and I also don't have okra. So a little history lesson: gumbo is a stew thickened with okra. That is what a gumbo is. But at one point in time, many years ago, okra was not harvesting. Like, it wasn't growing. There was none to harvest. So they started putting a roux in the gumbo to thicken it. So I try to remember that if I do not have okra on hand, it's still technically a gumbo, because at one point in time they did not have okra and they used a roux as the okra substitution to thicken the gumbo. So, I mean, we can argue about semantics. Everyone does their gumbo differently, and this is how I have been doing mine for a while now. Especially if I don't have okra. If I don't have okra, the roux is like very important. But I will try to document the next gumbo that I make, and it will be an actual gumbo. I'm like a very technical person. Like, I like to make sure that things are done correctly, and in my mind, a gumbo can't be done without okra, because, I mean, look up what gumbo means. The definition is definitely a stew thickened with okra. So knowing that, it's just hard for me to be like, oh, this is gumbo. Oh, where's the okra? You're right, it's not gumbo. So I am just browning my sausage. This is andouille sausage. This is like the best gumbo sausage. It's smoked, and it just adds this warmth of flavor to the gumbo. You can use whatever sausage you want. I just recommend andouille. So one thing I am going to do before I add my peppers in is I am going to season this, what you see in the pan already. I am just going to use like onion and garlic and pepper, all three kinds that I have in my cabinet of pepper, red, black, and white. I am using some, I don't know what it's called, salt, and a little bit of Tony Chachere's. And then I'm going to add more seasoning later. So I, like, for the life of me, couldn't remember what the heck salt was called just now. OMG, don't bring that up ever again, please. Thank you. So we are going to mix the peppers in. We are going to cook them down for a few minutes, and then we are going to cover them to kind of sweat them out, but also retaining that moisture in the pan. So I am adding 32 ounces of chicken stock. I'm going to let this cook just a little bit, and then I will be adding 32 ounces of water to this as well. So the last part is adding this chicken. You can add whatever kind of chicken you like. I personally like adding a whole chicken or chicken legs and thighs like you see here, bone in, because I do believe the bone is what gives you an extra depth of flavor that just cooks on into this gumbo. So after I have added the chicken, I add the rest of the water that I've previously mentioned. And that is just about everything that needs to be added. There is some more seasoning that needs to be added, but that's not till later. And now we wait. So after the gumbo has cooked just a little bit, I am adding some Worcestershire sauce, I don't know, Paris seasoning. I am adding that to the pot along with some other seasonings. You see this oil cooking up to the top, that is flavor, okay? Don't forget to scrape the sides of your pan because that's flavor as well. We're just gonna cook this down, and we're just gonna let it cook. Add a little bit of water here and there if you need to, and that's just about all there is to the tutorial portion of this video. You're gonna see the bones starting to break away from the meat in the chicken. I'm just cooking it until the meat falls off the bones. Then I am going to take out the bone and the gristle. I am also adding just a little bit more water here and there, and then I am making some rice. I am cooking the rice in a glass dish in the oven, so it's really fluffy. But that's just about everything for the talking portion of this, so I'll just throw on some music here on out. And yeah, I hope you enjoy this video, and if you do make a gumbo yourself, if you've never made a gumbo before, I hope it turns out wonderfully. If you've made gumbo before but you just want to see some other versions of gumbo, I hope you enjoy it. That is enough of talking for me though. I am tired and I am ready to go. So just stick around to the end of the video or skip around to the end of the video. You see what I did there? If you would like to see this gumbo in all of her glory with all the rice and all the filet.